look at what I found. If you've seen my PSX burning guide, you know I'm always looking for some awesome CDs for a good price. And I found this 50 pack JVC CD-Rs from actually a store where I usually get my CDs from. So this is technically brand new. And that's amazing, because if you remember in the video I mentioned that JVC CDs have been always Taiyo Yuden. So sort of the best quality CD that you can get technically. And then suddenly this appears in just a shop as a new item. Yet Taiyo Yuden doesn't make CDs anymore? Whoa! Let's check it out. Holy shit, this is amazing. Oh. Oh no. Oh, fuck. Ritek, no. No. Well, that was my genuine reaction to when I saw that text right there. And this is so funny to me. I mean, when I saw this, my first impression was that this can't be real. What the hell? These have disappeared a long time ago. Maybe a couple years ago, you could still find some new old stock JVC Taiyo Yuden CDs, but they were specifically marketed as Taiyo Yuden. But Taiyo Yuden has stopped making CDs a long time ago, a couple years now. And so I was like, this is either a new old stock stuff that they had left over, or something completely different. And, well, I saw the Japanese writing on it, so I thought, hey, this is all Japanese. That could potentially mean that this is Taiyo Yuden. Why else would it have Japanese stuff on it, like, you know, the Sakura and all that? This looks a little bit different than the old CD as well. Different styling, but that doesn't mean anything. But, oh man, Ritek. That's like the same crap as these Maxell CDs. These are terrible. These CDs are absolutely worthless. But the thing is that those were made in Vietnam. And this one says Europe? Connects Technology BV? Ritek Europe? I mean, maybe it's not too bad. I mean, it could be good, right? There's still hope. Let's check them out, I guess. How do we open this? Let's see. I'm not expecting much at this point. Alright. Very cheap, flimsy packaging, no like plastic. This is just the, you know, simple shrink wrapped style CDs. I don't like this very much, but at least this like paper sleeve should kind of hold it together, I hope. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see the bottom of it. I don't expect it to be cyanine, because old Taiyo Yuden discs. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, that looks exactly the same as this. Yep. Well, not exact. No. That looks exactly the same. Oh. Well, that's disappointing. Just boring Ritek phthalocyanine CDs. Maybe they're not as bad as the cool design though. Maybe they're not as bad as the Maxells. I hope they're not as bad, because the Maxells are terrible for PlayStation games. They sort of work. Sometimes you can get the FMVs to not skip, but most of the times they will. Just as a reminder, this is what Taiyo Yuden is supposed to look like. Nice and blue. This is kind of a later one, so not super blue, but still quite blue. That's the info on the CD. Ritek. Cool. You know, technically these could have been Taiyo Yuden by CMC Pro. But JVC decided to go with Ritek. I guess I should have thought of that, because there's only really two main manufacturers at this point. Maybe a couple more, but like two big ones, and then a couple smaller ones. Two big ones being CMC and Ritek. Right, so I've tried out some of these discs. I've burnt a couple games here. Well, first I tried Power Slave. Then I also have here 3 copies of Vanishing Point because it's such a great game. So first off we have this one. It's burnt with an LG burner. I usually use it, but I have not enabled OPC, whereas someone suggested to try OPC again. We'll see if there's any difference. I don't think so. And I've also burnt one with an NEC. This is also one of my best burners with the NEC. Another copy. Well, the fact that I have so many discs here of the same game might tell you a story about why. But anyways, let's give it a shot. Gonna boot up Tony Hawk's here. So this is the PlayStation. Sorry about the wobbly camera, it's on my couch. That's the PlayStation I've worked on recently. I've fixed up the disk drive a little bit. And also sorry about the flickering. Plasma TVs are not exactly the easiest thing to film. So let's start out with the LG with no OPC. OPC is basically like an adjustment to the it tries to adjust the laser to the media that you put in, and it doesn't work. So this is the freshly serviced PlayStation. It plays games really well. It's an old drive, so it's not perfect condition, but yep, it just basically gave up. So yeah, could try again, but we got some error codes there. It's just slurping the disc. Yep. It's constantly making this like sound effect. So yeah, LG no OPC didn't work. Then we'll try LG with OPC. And it's making the same sound effect again. Alright. That didn't work either. Last but not least, here's the copy burnt with an NEC at 8x instead of LG. Yep, doing the same thing. So, yeah, these discs are garbage. But to be honest, I sort of expected that. So it's not a huge surprise. That's what you get with modern redisc discs. Can't even trust JVC anymore. So this is not a perfect condition. This drive, it's in as good of a condition as it can be, but it's an old disk drive. It has aged. It's you know, it's the same disk drive from my PlayStation childhood PlayStation, so it's quite old now. So it will play good discs pretty well. So original pressed discs and discs that I've burnt on good quality media and burnt them properly, they will work perfectly fine on this machine. So there's no issue with the PlayStation. It's just that, you know, older PlayStations get a bit cranky and will not be able to read crappy media like this. Like this CD, it'll actually work on other PlayStations. I've been able to get this one to work on a 5500 and maybe a 9000 console as well. But this PS1 is like a pretty good test to see if the disc will work or not because of its age, and no, it does not. But if I were to try a different game, it will, you know, read it perfectly. You could see it in my previous video. I tried a pressed copy of Harry Potter and it worked perfectly fine. So yeah, that's all she wrote. And I mean, it's not worth adjusting the laser pot just to get a crappy disc to read, because what's the point? Just get decent CDs. These JVCs are trash.